They say betrayal is loud. But mine came as a whisper, a single text message lighting up the dark. Don't call or come over. We're done. And don't even think about the will, sweetie. I remember staring at those words on my phone, my hand frozen above the counter. The tea beside me had gone cold, untouched, its steam long vanished. My mother's name blinked on the screen like a warning light. No explanation. No reason. Just a clean, surgical cut, like she'd practiced it in front of a mirror. I typed 2 words back. Got it. No punctuation. No emotion. Just 2 syllables to end 32 years of trying to be enough. The night didn't explode. It folded in on itself. The silence was almost polite. By midnight, my phone was vibrating with missed calls, but I didn't pick up. I already knew what they'd say. Excuses wrapped in guilt. The same script my family had rehearsed my whole life. From the outside, we were perfect, the Hayes family of Tulsa. Dad in his pressed shirts, Mom's pearls catching the light at Sunday brunch, my brother Brandon smiling for every camera. The American dream. Except dreams rot when you paint over the cracks too many times. Dad built his empire one greasy diner at a time, 5 restaurants, all running on his willpower and pride. He was the kind of man who believed love was earned through obedience. Respect first, affection later, he used to say, pointing a fork at me like a weapon. You'll learn the business, Caroline. The restaurants are our legacy. But I didn't want legacy. I wanted life, color, design, air that didn't smell like frying oil. When I got accepted into an art school in Chicago, he laughed, loud and sharp. If you walk away from this family's work, he said, you walk away from our support. He meant it. I paid for my own tuition, late nights, student loans, 2 part-time jobs. Brandon, meanwhile, got a brand new car at 16, helping at the diner. Mom never interfered. She'd sip her wine, smile like a peace treaty, and whisper, he's just hard on you because he sees your potential. But we both knew what that meant. I was never the favorite. Just the filler in their family portrait. Years passed. I built my design firm from a 1-bedroom apartment. By 30, I was redesigning boutique hotels and luxury restaurants across Oklahoma. But every family dinner was still the same script. Brandon's achievements first, his big ideas, his bright future. My work? Cute, Dad would mutter without looking up. When Mom got sick, I paid for everything, her treatments, her travel, every bill that showed up in their mailbox. When Brandon's business collapsed, I wired him $30,000 to keep his lights on. When Dad's restaurant needed new equipment, I covered it too. They always said thank you, the empty kind, like a receipt for a transaction. And I kept doing it, hoping one day they'd see me. But love built on debt isn't love. It's a contract. And that night, when Mom's text came through, I realized our contract had expired. It started a few days earlier, a family meeting, Dad called it. We gathered around the long oak table, framed photos of Brandon's ribbon cuttings staring down at me. I had my laptop open, ready to pitch a partnership, a sustainable design firm that could modernize their restaurants, save money, help the planet. 5 minutes in, Dad interrupted. You think hotels care about recycled wood? His tone was half bored, half played. They want cheap, not fancy experiments. Brandon laughed, eyes on his phone. Yeah, maybe stick to decorating houses, sis. My hands trembled under the table. It's not decoration, I said quietly. It's design. It saves money. Dad cut me off. We're not wasting money on your pipe dream. Brandon's opening a new location. That's our focus. Something inside me cracked, years of quiet loyalty, all splitting at once. Mom, I said, turning to her, desperate. You've seen my work. You know it could work. She hesitated. It just sounds risky, honey. You know how the restaurant business is. Risky. That word again. The same one Dad used when I wanted college. The same word they used instead of no. And then Tara, Brandon's wife, spoke, her voice soft but sure. I think it's innovative, she said. Sustainability's important now. Brandon shot her a look sharp enough to slice glass. She fell silent. Dad waved his hand. Enough. Meeting over. As I packed up, Tara's eyes found mine. She mouthed, I need to tell you something. Later that night, in the driveway, she did. Her voice shook. Brandon's been taking money from the restaurants, she said. Thousands. He's hiding it. My heart stopped. Are you sure? She nodded. I found the records. He's been lying to your parents for years. Before I could respond, I heard Dad's voice inside. We need to finalize the will. Brandon's the only one keeping this family together. Mom murmured something too soft to catch. Then Dad again, firm and final. Caroline's off doing her own thing. She doesn't care about us. And right there, in the dark of that driveway, I finally understood. The betrayal wasn't coming. It had already happened. The next morning, my phone blinked before sunrise. Another message from Mom. Don't call or come over. We're done. And don't even think about the will, sweetie. I read it 3 times, each word sinking deeper, heavier. For years, I had been the one keeping their world afloat, paying medical bills, bailing out Brandon, covering restaurant debts. And now erased. I sat on the edge of my bed, the city outside half asleep, my chest hollow. The kind of emptiness that doesn't hurt, but leaves space for something new. I typed back, got it. No punctuation, no emotion. Just a line to close the door. I moved to the kitchen, the kettle whistling softly. The steam curled in the morning light, and for the first time in years, the quiet didn't scare me. It felt like control. I poured a cup of tea, slow and deliberate, tasting the bitterness spread across my tongue. I opened my laptop. One by one, I canceled everything: Mom's hospital payments, the restaurant supply bills, Brandon's loans. Each click echoed like a door closing. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I just felt lighter. My money wasn't feeding their silence anymore. It was buying my freedom. By noon, the phone was relentless calls, texts, voicemails. Mom, Dad, Brandon. You're tearing the family apart. You'll regret this. How could you do this to your mother? I didn't answer. I couldn't. Not because I was angry, but because I finally saw the truth. The version of me they wanted, the giver, the silent rescuer, was gone. That night, sleep refused me. I sat by the window, the city lights glowing gold in the distance, my phone buzzing beside me. Every notification was a reminder of their desperation, their need, their control. And yet, for the first time, I felt something foreign. Peace. Not happiness. Not relief. Just clarity. A week later, I agreed to meet them. Not for reconciliation, but for closure. The cafe I chose was quiet, one of the few places in Tulsa where no one knew our history. The smell of roasted beans and rain in the air felt deliberate, like I had invited calm into the storm. They were already there. Dad, arms crossed, his expression carved from stone. Mom, pale but trying to look composed. Brandon, scrolling through his phone like nothing had changed. Tara wasn't there. You've caused a disaster, Dad started. The bills are overdue. Vendors are threatening to sue. I set my bag on the chair, my voice calm. That's not my problem anymore. Brandon leaned forward, sneering. You think you're better than us now, huh? Just because you play with paint and fancy furniture. I met his gaze. Design, Brandon. The word is design. He laughed, shaking his head. You've always been dramatic. You stole from the restaurants, I said. The words stopped him cold. Dad's brow furrowed. What are you talking about? Tara told me everything, I said, flat. The hidden accounts. The money that vanished. You know it's true. Brandon's jaw tightened. She's lying. I found the records. And you know it, I said evenly. Dad turned to him, eyes narrowing. Is that true? Brandon stood abruptly. You believe her over me? This isn't about jealousy, I said quietly. It's about respect. And honesty. 2 things I never got from this family. Mom's voice trembled. Susan, don't do this. We can talk. I looked at her. We're past talking, Mom. You made that clear when you sent the text. Her face drained of color. I didn't mean it like that. You wrote, don't call or come over. We're done. And don't even think about the will, sweetie. I quoted every word. You meant it exactly like that. The cafe had gone quiet. Even the barista paused, mid-motion. Dad cleared his throat. You've always been too sensitive. I smiled faintly. And you've always mistaken cruelty for discipline. For the first time, I saw a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. I reached into my bag, pulled out a neatly folded folder, and placed it on the table. I sold my sustainable design project, I said. A national firm bought it for $1 million. They all stared. I built it without your help. No loans, no family money. Just me. Brandon's mouth twisted. Good for you. Want a medal? No, I said. I just want you to understand. I don't need this family anymore. And you don't get to call me when things fall apart. Dad's jaw clenched. You think that money makes you powerful? I leaned forward slightly. No. Walking away does. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. Mom finally spoke, tears welling. We're still your family. Family isn't blood, I said softly. Family is respect. And silence, when it's chosen, can be the loudest form of freedom. Brandon slammed his fist on the table. You think you can just cut us out? Funny, I said, meeting his anger with calm. That's exactly what you did to me. Dad's voice rose. You'll regret this, Susan. Maybe, I replied, standing. But at least I'll regret it on my own terms. As I walked to the door, Mom whispered, Please, Susan, don't do this. I didn't look back. The door chimed softly behind me. The street was cool, the sunrise painting the horizon gold. I started the engine and let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. For the first time in my life, I wasn't driving away from them. I was driving toward myself. But even in that freedom, the phone buzzed again, an unknown number from Tulsa. I let it ring. Let it fade. I didn't need to answer. Not yet. Something told me this wasn't over. The phone kept buzzing, relentless. Unknown number after unknown number. Tulsa, Tulsa, Tulsa. Each vibration made my chest tighten like a fist. But I didn't answer. I didn't even look. For the first time, I understood that their panic was about control, not concern, not love. I walked into my apartment, the city sprawling beneath me, golden sunlight spilling across hardwood floors. The tea I poured the night I left had long gone cold, but I poured another, watching the steam curl into the morning light. Bitter. Honest. Necessary. The next days were quiet, deceptively so. My inbox swelled with passive-aggressive emails from Dad, desperate texts from Mom, and one angry message from Brandon after another. Tara's messages were the only sane ones, low, urgent whispers in the chaos. He knows you found out. He's furious. Be careful. I smiled faintly, swirling the tea. Careful? No. Careful is what I had been my whole life. Careful is what had kept me bending to their will, paying their bills and ignoring my own dreams. No more. But the calm didn't last. By the end of the week, I agreed to meet them again. Not to negotiate. Not to beg. Just to see the wreckage, to witness their desperation in person. I chose a small, neutral cafe, one tucked between a bookstore and a laundromat. No one would know our family, no one would care. I arrived first, sitting at a corner table, folding my hands around a cup of tea. The sound of the street outside was muted, almost ceremonial, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Dad arrived first, his posture rigid, eyes scanning for weakness. Mom followed, pale, tight-lipped. Brandon trailed in last, phone glued to his hand, his sneer already in place. Tara didn't come. I didn't expect her. Dad wasted no time. You've caused chaos. Vendors are threatening lawsuits. Bills are overdue. Susan, you need to fix this. I set my bag on the chair, calm. Not my problem anymore. I'm not fixing anything, I said softly, watching them try to process that simple statement. Brandon leaned forward, his face a mask of anger and confusion. You think you're better than us, huh? Just because you make things look pretty. I don't make things look pretty, I said evenly. I design. I create. And I pay attention to the details that matter. He scoffed. Always dramatic. You love attention, don't you? You stole from the restaurants, I cut in, refusing to let him derail me. The words hit harder than I expected. Dad's brow furrowed, voice sharp. What are you talking about? I have the records, I said. Tara gave them to me. Hidden accounts, money disappearing, lies. You know it's true, Brandon. Brandon froze. His mouth opened, closed, and finally, she's lying. I found the evidence. And you know it, I said. Dad turned to him, narrowing his eyes. Is that true? Brandon stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. You believe her over me? This isn't about jealousy, I said quietly. It's about honesty and respect. Two things I never got from this family. Mom's lips trembled. Susan, don't do this. We can talk. I looked at her, my voice firm. We're past talking, Mom. You made that clear when you sent the text. Don't call or come over. We're done. And don't even think about the will, sweetie. I quoted each word slowly. You meant it exactly like that. For a moment, the air was still. Even the barista paused mid-motion. Dad's voice broke the silence. You've always been too sensitive. I smiled faintly, a slow, quiet curve of lips. And you've always mistaken cruelty for discipline. For the first time, I saw doubt flicker in his eyes. Just a flash. I reached into my bag and placed a folder on the table. I sold my sustainable design project, I said, watching their faces pale. A national firm bought it for $1 million. The table went silent. No one moved. I built it without your help, I continued, voice steady. No loans, no family money. Just me. Brandon's mouth twisted. Good for you. Want a medal? No, I said. I want you to understand this. I don't need this family anymore. And you don't get to call me when things fall apart. Dad's jaw clenched. You think that money makes you powerful? No, I said, leaning forward. Walking away does. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. Mom finally spoke, voice small, trembling. We're still your family. Family isn't blood, I said softly. Family is respect. And silence, when it's chosen, can be the loudest form of freedom. Brandon slammed his fist on the table. You think you can just cut us out? Funny, I said, calm, almost gentle. That's exactly what you did to me. Dad's voice rose. You'll regret this, Susan. Maybe, I replied, standing. But at least I'll regret it on my own terms. I turned toward the door. Mom whispered, almost breaking, please, don't do this. I didn't look back. The door chimed softly behind me. Outside, the street was quiet, the sun low and golden. I started my car, my breath finally leaving my chest. For the first time, I wasn't running from them. I was driving toward myself. But even in that freedom, the phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I let it ring. Let it fade. Something told me the storm wasn't over. The weeks after that meeting were strange. Quiet, almost too quiet. The constant buzzing of my phone had slowed to occasional reminders, as if the city itself was giving me space to breathe. I didn't check the messages from Tulsa. I didn't return the calls. I didn't care. And yet, peace didn't arrive immediately. It wasn't a light switch. It was a slow sunrise, creeping over the horizon, illuminating a life I had nearly forgotten I was allowed to live. I spent mornings in my own rhythm. Coffee, sunlight spilling over the living room floor, the city awake beneath me. I opened my laptop to work, designing interiors that carried my name on brass plaques, spaces where every corner, every texture, every detail bore my touch. These rooms were mine. Safe, beautiful, real. One afternoon, in a cafe in Manhattan, I ordered the same tea I had that night in Tulsa, the one that had tasted bitter, but necessary. The steam curled, golden in the sunlight. My phone buzzed. An unknown number from Tulsa. I let it ring. Fade. Let it go. The city hummed around me, indifferent to their drama. And I realized something profound. I was no longer running from them. I was running to myself. Months passed. Word of the Hayes family collapse reached me, not from them, but through whispers and news clippings. The restaurants, once Dad's empire, crumbled under debt and lawsuits. Brandon's hidden accounts were exposed. Tara quietly moved away with their daughter. Mom and Dad sold their house, moving into a smaller, quieter life outside Tulsa. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel vindication. I felt a strange calm, like walking through the aftermath of a storm, feeling the air clear, the sky washed clean. I had built my own life, and the ruins they left behind were theirs, not mine. Sometimes I thought of family. Not the one I grew up with, Not the one that had demanded my loyalty and my money and my silence, but the one I chose for myself. The friends who celebrated my work, the people who respected me without conditions, the life I had painstakingly designed, piece by piece. Family isn't blood. It isn't tradition. It isn't obligation. Family is respect. Family is choice. Family is the silence you choose because it no longer harms you. I found a strange joy in small, everyday moments. Sitting by a window, watching rain streak down the glass. Walking through lobbies I had designed, lights warm and lines clean, feeling the quiet approval of a space made for life, not for someone else's empire. I had freedom. I had control. I had peace. And in that, I found the final lesson my parents never taught me. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't to fight for their love. It's to walk away and build your own. I still think of them occasionally. Not with anger. Not with longing. Just with a gentle understanding that the version of them I had hoped for, the one who might have loved me freely, without ledger and debt, never existed outside my imagination. Now, when I lift my cup of tea in the morning, I smile. Bitter, yes. Necessary, absolutely. But mine. And that's enough. The phone buzzes sometimes, unknown numbers, urgent calls, please. I let it ring. Fade. Because peace is louder than their noise. Freedom doesn't require apologies, explanations, or permission. Freedom is simply living. I take a sip of tea, feeling it fill me with warmth. I close my eyes, breathe in, and whisper to myself, I am enough. And finally, I am free.